All right, everyone. We are live after much deliberation, after many technical issues. We made it. We made it, Zach.
Oh my.
We this is good to be actually finally here because it was not looking good there for a little bit,
Mhm.
guys. Issues both on my side in terms of when I had scheduled this on YouTube. I'm doing this on a new computer and it is still stuck in European time, which will keep European fans happy if they've made it. But yeah, then we had some other visual issues as well with the platform, but we've got it sorted. We made it, Zach. Zach, you are probably. I think it's maybe your camera's got burnout, mate. Your channel at the moment is absolutely on fire, which is ironic because you are a firefighter and you are not putting that thing out at all. You're just letting it burn. You are putting out videos. Feels like every day, to be honest. I'm not sure
Dude,
if you're
I'm
or
burning.
what's
I'm
going
burning.
on behind the scenes there, but yeah, Zach has been smashing out the videos. So that's great for everyone who loves UFC card content because Zach is the man at the moment in terms of making banger YouTube videos for UFC cards. But we have a banger episode here. It is a live. This is our fifth installment, I believe. Is it, Zach? Fifth or sixth
Seems right.
live? But 31st collab overall, and we are still, as I said, having technical issues. So we'll get those cleaned up and hopefully we come good in the end. But yeah, Zach, we are going to be going over not only some viewer questions, we're going to be speculating on the news of the UFC event that will be held at the White House in the 250th annual year of your country, the United States of America. We're going to speculate on what that card could look like, who we think could be main eventing. There are already some odds, some betting men out there who are putting some odds on
Oh, I
who
like
could be
that.
main eventing. We also will be taking a look at the highest selling Topps Chrome products from 2025, the highest selling cards from 2025 Topps Chrome to date. We'll be doing that in just a couple of minutes because we are a little bit behind schedule in terms of getting people in here. We will wait a little bit to see what happens. But Zach, you made a pretty interesting video. You were ranking Topps Chrome in terms of inserts. You had a little tier list there. There were some of them that I agreed with. Some of them, of course, I didn't agree with. I would have had radiating rookies a little bit higher. And I also like the AKAs. And I would have dropped that Helix down. Not a fan of the Helix, but that was a fun video to watch. Hopefully a lot of you others have gone out there and watched that as well. But while we are talking about Topps Chrome, we're going to jump straight into it. While we still wait for people to come in, they can catch up. We're going to be looking at the highest selling Chrome from 2025 to date. And we're going to give our thoughts, Zach, as we head on over here to 130 point. These will give us the highest selling Topps Chrome on eBay. As we take a look, number one, no surprise, which we will be talking about. Actually, we will be giving our thoughts on who we think should be the top selling 3 UFC athletes for 2025 at the moment. And it is this man here, Ilya Taporia, sale price of $3,100 for the Mark of Champions Red Refractor, 1 of 5. Zach, what do you think about that card? Do we think it was at auction, number of bids, 42? Do we think that
Yeah.
is a fair price for that card?
I mean, I don't know what fair price means, Damien, because we don't know what's going to happen with in the future. As far as is it too much? I mean, for me, yes. I mean, that's selling for more than the first autos that we saw with his first auto in Immaculate. So I'm going to say it is a little high, but we haven't seen many of those first autos sell either to compare, this Mark of a Champion auto with the first auto. But that's kind of my gut reaction initially is that it is too high.
Well, what I do probably should clarify, and as I said, it is relevant to give the sort of filters that we're looking at here. I'm talking about to date. As if we are to buy and sell this card today, do we think these prices are what they should be? And I actually think that this one is. I think if we are going to be having, red chrome refractors number to 5, obviously very short print run on card autos of the hottest and most, to date fighter that we have for 2025. I think it is Ilia Topuria, and I think this card should be the highest selling card that we have to date for Topps Chrome, even though it's only a 2.5 week old product now. So that one topping the list. July 6th there, we can see, as I said, at auction too, which is also good because it gives you a feel of where the market's at in terms of bidders. And that one had 41 bids. This one, your favorite, the split decisions, Alexa Grasso, Zhang Weili, Super Refractor 101, $430. So it was a offer of $2,000, and someone's taking the best offer, 25%, 75% off flash sale going on here, July 11th. Only a couple of days ago, $430. What do we think about this Super Refractor 101 for the split decisions insert?
I'm surprised in that pricing. I'm getting a little echo too. I don't know if that's on my end or your end, but the 430 to me is way too low. When you're talking about a person like Zhang Weili, I'm very surprised that that sold for 430. And possibly a potential flip from the person who bought that. Because you're talking about a Weili 101. Now, it does have Grasso on it, so maybe that affects the value a little bit. But, yeah, I'm definitely surprised. And maybe a little low there with the 430.
I think, yeah, I agree. It could be a little bit low in terms of the pairing that we have there. What I actually want to talk about more interestingly, and I had this thought when I saw, because I had not seen the split decisions insert before your breakdown video of ranking the parallels and ranking the inserts. But what have you got to do if you want to get this card graded? Obviously, grading labels have a top and a bottom. What do we do? Do you have to stick a little note on the card to say, hey, I want Zhang Weili facing upwards, or I want Alexa Grasso facing upwards? Obviously, I'm very interested to know what the idea is there in terms of grading, because I could see a lot of people submitting.
Dude, that would destroy the card for me. If I wanted a specific person and they did the other, it'd be over.
Exactly. Like, what do you do there? So, a very just strange, interesting point that I thought of after watching your insert video. Next up, we have another Ilia Topuria, Marks of Champions as well. So this is a black, selling for $900, July 7th. So interestingly enough, this is... Well, what's that? That's 30% of what we had for the red. Obviously, the red is half the population of this black. But, yeah, the red selling for 3 times, a bit over almost 3.5 times what this black is. So that's interesting enough to think. You think they would be a little bit closer in terms of pricing, given that they're, only half the population. But maybe because they are half the population, people are wanting to chase that red even higher, which pushes up the price.
Yeah.
The -1 of 0. I don't understand these negative numbering things.
You don't like the negatives?
It does my head in, man.
It's below 0, dude. It's chilly.
It's below 0.
So cold, baby.
Carlos Prates, one of the hottest rookies from 2025. That one selling for $750. What do we think about that, Zach, actually? July 10th. Best offer was at $1,250, $750. What do we think? Is that on the money, or is that?
I think that's pretty close, to be fair. Well, it depends on how much you believe in Carlos Prates. What type of a prospect do you think he will be? What type of future you think he's going to have? Because you're speculation, right, with any of these rookies. But I mean, you're talking about an of 5 basically, with the -5, $750. I mean, it to me, it's not too far off. I would say it's around the ballpark of where it should be. But again, next year he loses 3 fights. That's way too high. So speculation.
So sorry, what did you say? This is an out of 5, or what?
Yeah, the negatives go to -5.
But why does it say -1 of 0? So then it's -2
it goes -1, -2 up to 5.
Oh my God, what are we doing? What have we come to, Zach?
Not a fan, huh?
What have we come to, Zach? This is we don't have long enough. We don't have long enough to explain to the people. I actually think this is overpriced for an out of 5 card for Carlos Prates. I think this is probably a good $250. I would prefer, if this is out of 5, give me the red. Give me. No, I think it's $250 overpriced. I think probably more like a $500 card, in my opinion. If we're talking out of 5, I think the red, if we're talking, rookie red, which is also the 5, +5, do we need to start
Yeah.
specifically saying plus or -5? I think the +5 is probably, more like a $750, closer to $1,000 card. I think
So
that
you're
makes
not putting
sense.
any premium
I
or
put no premium on
equal
this.
to the frozen fracture, even though it's the
Well,
first
I
one in the
am.
space.
I'm not saying it's worth $0. I'm just saying I don't think it's quite worth that $750. I think $750 should be more reserved for the true red.
Okay.
Parallel. We have the Josh fan.
Damien,
Sorry, yeah.
I could also see people being like, "Oh, this is the first ever frozen fracture in the UFC space." Now, I don't know how long they've been around in other sports, but if they have been around, 5, 10 years, I could see that maybe people being like, "Okay, let me pay up a little, and maybe this will be a thing in the future, and this will be the first run of it."
Yeah, well, that's true. That is definitely a debut. I am a man of the debut in terms of inserts and parallels. So I think that's that is a good little addition to add for people to maybe that pumped up the price a bit. And then we have that Joshua Van that if you've been on a beach in the Bahamas without internet for the past 3 weeks, you wouldn't have heard about this sale, but many of us have. Obviously, that one as a best offer at $1,000. Josh Van. He sort of come out of nowhere. Maybe not out of nowhere in terms of, I know Matt Golden Octagon and also yourself have probably been looking at him for a little bit, but a lot of us other more casual UFC fans, which I'd probably label myself at the moment, Joshua Van sort of came out of nowhere in terms of the rookie chase for 2025 product. He was not on my top 3 rookies going back a month ago, but he has come out now, and I said that one, the rookie auto to red. I think that's we've you talked about that, and everyone else has talked about that card, so we all knew about that one. The John Jones Topps Chrome refractor auto, the orange, number 25, $800 sale price, asking $1,800. You're a John Jones boy. John Jones is your man. What do we think about that one?
John Jones boy. Man, it's too much. Any guy that has cards, 2009, I would say even he'll be 2014, that area, maybe even like 2018, 2019 would be my line. I don't really want anything in the modern years unless it's like, super, super rare. I would not consider an up 25 super, super rare, especially with these parallels in 25 Chrome. So I think that's a little high, but I do understand people being hyped for John Jones autos. I mean, it's the first time we have on card John Jones for how many years? So I understand people buying it. It's kind of a fun image, and it's also an older image of Jones with the auto. So you got the old man Johnny Meat on there. Can we have a whole segment about how I don't like that his Twitter is Johnny Meat? Something is just weird about that, and I don't love it.
Yeah, he's a weak guy. We can put it at that. But yeah, I think you're right. Like in saying that, you made the point about the older John Bones shows for like 24. I don't think he's had an on-card auto for at least since maybe 2014, maybe 2015. I'd push it out 2015. I don't think we've seen on-card autos for John Jones in 10 years. So this is only his second year.
A lot of years.
What was that? Sorry.
And just autos in general, it's been years and years since he signed.
Yeah, that's right. Like he didn't have a stack of autos even in those early years. So he's kept his autos a bit like Jordan. He's kept them pretty under wraps for the most part. This is only his second year of Topps Chrome. His first year of Topps Chrome was the last year of Topps Chrome that we had before in 2019. So he didn't have 2017, didn't have 2018 Topps Chrome. This is his second year back with Topps Chrome. I do believe it's his first year Topps Chrome auto. It is definitely his first Topps Chrome auto. So I think that gives a little bit extra weight, and I can see why this card actually fetches that price, because there are a lot of people who love to collect John Jones and get his cards, and this is a nice one, to be honest. I think it's actually a good photo, and it's obviously an on-card, good design auto. So I think that one's actually pretty fair. We have the Kaya Sakura, the gold vinyl 101 rookie on-card auto, $1,000, Zach. What do we think about this? He's only fought once in the UFC, obviously to Pantoja, losing, which is nothing wrong with that because everyone else does as well. But what do we think about this one? as a speculation.
I mean, I like the 101 plays for rookies. If you are going to buy in and you are a huge Kai Asakura fan, it is the perfect time. Right after a loss, he came in with a lot of hype, didn't necessarily live up to it. You know, how that fight went, Pantoja did dominate it. But like you said, this guy is killing everybody. So, but it is an interesting speculation play. We've talked about this before. Like, if you are going to speculate rookie, one is, you know, the bar is raised. If he does pop, everybody's going to want this card. He's going to command a ton of value. And I mean, this is the card you would want if you're a Kai Asakura fan. 101 on card auto. Like, what more do you want? But again, dude, this is a tough question to answer just because it is speculation. If he becomes a champion, this is a steal. If he loses every other fight, it's way too expensive.
Yeah. Well, I agree with what you said. Like, it's all risk adversity, and it's all about, I guess it's power of the dollar. So let's say if this card came out for me and it was $100, I'd probably buy it, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Gold vinyl 101. But if somebody who's earning 10 times my paycheck, they probably see the card the same way. So I guess that's just how it is in terms of speculating money and sports cards. And who knows, maybe even a strong Kai Asakura collector bought this card and saw the value in it for that, and fair play to them if they did, because as you said, this is a card you want.
It's a fun game. At what amount would you buy this card? 300, 400, 500 for a 1-on-1?
Oh man, I reckon. To be honest, I've only seen him fight. I know he's got a cool style, great stand up. I'm thinking 250 to 300. I would actually legitimately pull the trigger, and that's an honest estimation, because anything over like probably 300-400, I get nervous even for my PC guys. So 250-300, I'd definitely probably be like, man, that's an awesome card that you can't let go for less than that. So
yeah,
what about you?
That's actually probably where I might be a little bit more, but pretty close, man. Like maybe 350-400. But like, I mean, we are so risk averse, and we are half basically of the price that they just paid for it. So 1,000. If you're a Kai fan, I kind of think that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the money that people put into breaks, like there'd be average people out there in the card hobby who over a month or 2 months they probably put in $1,000 into breaks if they're breaking really hard. So some of these break spots go for plus $100 at a time. So all right, we'll go over two more. Actually, we'll go over three more quickly. The Gene Silver Octafractor 8 of 8. Best offer accepted, $850. Gene Silver, top 3 rookies from 2025. What are we thinking? That fair?
Historically, the Octofractors have not been a parallel that people have loved. You don't see them a lot on the highest sales list of any of these people. That being said, again, dude, $850 Gene Silva. Now, I feel like I would rather have the Frozen Fractor, dude, and be -5 over an Octofractor. They're both kind of like weird parallels, and at least you have the debut factor with the Frozen Factor and a little bit more rarity. But $850 for an of 8, to me, that seems like a lot. What do you think?
Okay. Once again, I think it's about pretty close. I think maybe $100. Maybe this is more like the Frozen should be the Carlos Prates. If Carlos Prates negative out of 5's getting $750, I think this one should be closer to that $750 mark as well, for sure. Given that it is 3 more, I think the Octorefractors, you made out that you don't see them sell that high. I would sort of say you don't really see these ones. If we're talking about Finest, some of the older products that have had the Octofractors to 8, you don't see them pop up so much. I think they're a lot of the ones that collectors sort of hold on to and are maybe stashing away more so than the other higher parallels. But yeah, I think this one's pretty close on to par. As we move on to the next one, we have the Market Champions Elite Pori. The out of 10 auto, again, the black, $750. That one, $150 less than the 900, but the 900 one sold a few days after. So that is showing the power of supply. Obviously, this one popped up for $750. Next one popped up. There's one less out there to grab. and maybe someone else paid a little bit more money for. And we'll finish it off with one of your favorites, my favorites. So I think they did a great job of the hidden gems this year. I think, as you mentioned, the coloring that they did, and it makes the gem design pop a little bit more. This one's selling as a best offer at 500. Quickly, Zach, do you think that's on par with where we're at with the second year? I don't know. Do we know if you might know, you're the checklist man. Did Elite Taporia have a hidden gems in last year's debut hidden gems?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm guessing. I think yes, but that's a guess.
Okay. All right. Maybe someone in the comments, which we're going to go over to just in 2 seconds, can let us know about that for sure if he did. Because if he didn't, I think this card is probably worth a little bit more, to be honest. I know you talked about it yourself. This is a short print, obviously, but it's not the numbered ones. We have a couple of numbered ones this year, but still higher print run than the first year. But still, I think these are a card to have if you're a collector for sure.
And this is the base version of the hidden gems, right? This one's not numbered.
That's right. Yeah, that was not an unnumbered one.
Man, I really think that these base ones going for 500, I feel like you could probably get an up 10 for close to that price as well. So it also scares me, Damien, that we're not on the odd sheet. I mean, I'm guessing it's close to what it was last year, but like that is a little scary.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I don't. Who knows? As you said, it all like even case hits. It's like, oh, we never really know. You'd have to reverse maths the amount of cases based off how many numbered cards there are, basically, and how many numbered cards you get in an average case. But even like the amount of cases these days could be millions. You'd never know. As we go over to a couple of comments, we have Objecto Collecto. Thanks for coming by, mate. As I said, I know this one's a bit of a stuff around in terms of timing because it was listed wrong on my YouTube, given that it was made on a computer that was still stuck in European time. But we appreciate you stopping by. We have Sugar Sharp. Sugar Sharp. I believe I've seen Sugar Shark in the comments before, but not on a live. So appreciate you coming by, man. We hope you're enjoying the show so far. All right, Zach. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is we'll go to viewer questions. We'll do viewer questions first. We'll take the first viewer question from our guy, Matty Mac, as we take this one down and we put this one up.
What's up, Objecto? What's up, Sugar Sharp? I wonder if he's a Sugar fan too, like you.
I reckon he definitely is. Matty Mac wants to know, question for the next collab, what does your UFC collection look like in 10 years' time? And this is a very interesting question. You know, we talk about the crystal ball. We haven't had it for a little bit, but it makes you take that out of the drawer, give it a rub, and look into the future. Zach, you want to start off first? What does your card collection look like in 10 years' time?
Matty Mac, you are the man. This question is what it is all about, dude. We think about it, and in order to achieve, you got to believe. We visualize the end point and the place that we want to arrive, and that's what this question is all about, right? So, crystal ball. I guess before I even talk about specific cards, I want to talk on it. Every like 3 to 5 years, it seems like we get a cycle of dominant fighters, a cycle of champions, right? So in 2035, we could potentially have 2 or 3 different cycles of dominant fighters and champions that are currently not dominant or champions. So it's kind of fun and interesting, man, to think that in 10 years, I'll probably have people in my PC that are not in my PC right now. And to me, that's exciting. But if I think about like potential cards that I know I'm going to want in 10 years, the first one that I think about, dude, is the 2022 Panini Prism Islam Makhachev first auto. This card is super expensive right now, but in 2035, I will have one. And I hope to get it in a mojo of 25 or lower. I've seen the green pulsars of 25, but there's just something about that green, dude. I don't know if it's visual or if it's knowing that it came out of a blaster, but there's something about that I don't want to pull the trigger on. So I'm leaning more like a Mojo or lower at this. But that's definitely one of the cars that I'll have in the future. Do you want to go like one for one?
Well, I have done this in a different. I've taken this question in a different way. I haven't defined any cards that I'll have. It's just more of a generalization of
Oh, I like it.
what direction I think my collection will take. But yeah, is there any more cards you want to talk about first before I give my answer?
Yeah, I guess I just have one more, and it would be I was thinking like in 2035, I'm gonna want a real rounded collection. I have a lot of I'm gonna have a lot of rookies, have a lot of first rounders. But what's like something cool, something different? What's like a conversation piece that I could potentially have? And I was thinking something very specific, something very strong, something different. And I was thinking the gold ingots of my man Habib, or a printing plate. I think owning would be super sick. So that's definitely a card that I want to have within the next 10 years.
Yeah, nice. The gold ingots, yeah, obviously 2014 Bloodlines. We haven't seen them since. Obviously, Topps have only been back for 2 years now. But I'm wondering if we do ever see those again. They're an interesting card. I don't know what they would do in terms of controlling how people weigh boxes and things like that
Yeah.
now, and CT scanning and things like that. So maybe we do never see them again, which would make them even more collectible and even more chased by collectors. But that is definitely a fun one. And obviously, you've got the Khabib first auto, and it's interesting to hear that you want to add to that in the collection in 10 years' time. I myself, as I said, I took this in a different way. I've got, I've recorded the video. It's up, ready to go. I haven't just posted it yet. I got 24 CGC slabs up here behind me. I've got another few in the drawer here. I've got probably 4, 5, maybe 6 more cards I want to send off to CGC. So I'm totaling like 32 cards graded CGC. I've got 6 already with Beckett. I've got 4 more that are on their way, and I have probably 4 more that I want to send off. So we're looking at about 16 Beckett slabs. All my PC stuff will be slabbed with either CGC or Beckett. So I'm looking at probably 48 cards-ish, almost 50. Even for me now, like that's way too much. I believe in 10 years' time, I think I'm going to streamline my PC. I don't know how I'm going to do it in terms of, will I just put things away and just sort of forget about them, or will I try and sell some things? But having just me thinking about having 50 cards in my collection, because I've spoken about before how I like to display them. That's a lot of cards to display. I've got posters, signed posters and things now, and even we've got these jerseys up behind me. Other stuff that I think is really cool that I want to keep as part of my, UFC memorabilia collection. So that 50 cards just sounds way too much, as I said. So I will have to cull that in some point. But the other thing I think is a big factor for me at the moment is my PC. I've been player PC or fighter PC for so long now, since the beginning, basically. And I know, obviously, that's where you're a little bit different. As much as you appreciate a lot of fighters, you have a more rounded collection. I know a lot of other people are like that too, in terms of the sport in general, and maybe collecting more about the history of the sport in terms of a specific fighter that you have emotional ties to, or whatever it may be. And I sort of feel myself going a little bit more that way now too. I don't know if it's got to do with me and my my opinions on new product in general, but the more new product that comes out, the less I'm sort of interested or excited by. I've always, not always, but more recently, the past 2 years, have been more interested in older products, chasing the older stuff. I guess the more vintage UFC, you would call it. I think that more sort of aligns with my collecting philosophy. So I think part of that could be, picking up some of these other cards and other fighters of people who I don't particularly PC or maybe watched in their prime, but maybe appreciate more as of the history of the sport, more so than, as I said, having an emotional tie to a specific fighter like Sean O'Malley or Max Holloway, or even some of the WWE stuff that I've been picking up. Mind you, I will always keep a lot of those cards. As I said, I think I'd like to have maybe about probably max 30 cards in the collection, if I'm thinking, especially as the time goes on. I'd like a smaller collection of cards, probably around 30. I think a lot of those will be Beckett slabs by then. Obviously, I will always keep some of these CGC ones, just more nostalgic, lower value cards that I just appreciate as a collector. But I think in terms of specifically UFC, like, you know, you've got one up behind you. Like, I'd really love a first UFC auto for Hoist Gracie. Obviously, Hoist Gracie does have first autos in other products, but a first UFC auto, as I said, such an iconic picture in terms of what that man has done in the sport. I think is a card that sort of most UFC collectors and fans of the sport are going to want, and then I'm definitely on that list. So cards like that maybe necessarily don't have anything to do with my fighters that I PC. I think cards that take me in a direction like that, I can see myself maybe getting more into, especially as the years go on. So that's how I sort of feel about it. And we'll head over to the comments now. We're getting a few more comments here, so we'll see what's going on in the comments. We have Michael tuning all the way in from Sweden. It's going to be almost 1 a.m. there. Evening, Damien.
Dang,
so thank you, Michael, for coming by. Michael and I set up at the Swede card show, the card show that I was a part of last year in March. Was set up at that one. Actually, Michael, how did you go? Did you set up at the card show? I know it was in May this year. I wasn't there. I had already moved back here to Australia. But if you let me know, how did that show go this year? Was it much bigger, or did you end up getting a table? We have Objecto, the Extra Factor Islam Lookie from 2019 Chrome, although not numbered, is just slightly more common than the out of 99 variation based on pack odds.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah, Zach, you'd love that one as a stats guy. And I know Objecto has a very good knowledge base of the checklists and especially pack odds and stuff like that. He loves that stuff like you do. So that's very cool to know.
Yeah, that's a sneaky play, man. Because
thanks, Buzz.
If you look at the UB 99s of Islam, super expensive. But I bet you that one that has basically the exact same number, probably way cheaper. So I like that.
Yep. Also adding to that, much rarer than the modern post 2024. Yeah.
They've just killed that, dude. They've to me, they've killed that parallel by printing it to oblivion. I mean, I just opened my megas today. 10 X Fractors in the mega. It's basically more prevalent than a silver, dude. So I don't even know what to do with the X Fractors that are modern now. And I love how they look. So that's that.
Yeah, good point. And yeah, I agree. The Extra Factor now is not what it used to be in terms of the previous releases for Topps Chrome. That has just become one of those parallels, non-numbered parallels now that they chuck in to pump up the packs for sure. But Zach, so thank you for that question, Matty Mac. We appreciate you as per usual. We enjoyed answering that one, but we do have another question to answer, Zach. We have a two-part question here, and I'm going to actually save this second part of this question for our next collab, Zach. Okay. I know you're the first auto man, but I thought we would cover the first half of the question this time around, and then on the next collab that we have upcoming before the next UFC pay-per-view event 318, we'll get this one answered on your channel. But he wants to know, Motor Breath Blake, who has also sent in questions before, so we do appreciate you, mate. Thank you for getting in another question. Another great collab, guys. Appreciate the effort you put into these. We appreciate everyone who's watching as well. So right back at you, Motor Breath Blake. Keep them coming. Question for next time: which fighters are on your Mount Rushmore of UFC card collecting? And what a question this was. This was probably one of the most interesting questions that we've had, at least in my opinion, Zach, to date. This one, maybe we can go 1-on-1 for. I'm actually very excited to see what sort of crossover that we have. I think my answers aren't going to be quite what you expect them to be. But I know we will have maybe one or two different ones in there at least. So this is an awesome question. And I also want people in the comments who are watching, or even if you are rewatching this, let us know who are on your UFC Mount Rushmore for card collecting. We would be very interested to read over those and get back to you in the comments. So let us know. But Zach, let's go 1-for-1, mate.
Let's do
UFC Mount Rushmore. Who's up there?
Um, okay, so when I approach this question, Damien, I try to be like a more objective than I would normally do when it comes to these. Everyone has their personal biases, but I was like, who is probably the four? You know, if you were to interview every single collector, you'd be like, who are the four most popular people with cards? Who should they be? And I mean, you have multiple different ways that you could kind of attack that question. But I chose for my number four, Amanda Nunez. I mean, I think it would have been wrong to not put a lady on one of these. The UFC is the only major sports organization to continuously showcase women competing the same card. I mean, we've seen it a couple of times in boxing, and like obviously with track and field with the Olympics, we see that. But that's the major organization, and that's like every 4 years. So I wanted to give some love to who I think everyone agrees is the greatest female fighter of all time. Super exciting run, and she's not doing nude. She's not done. She's still writing history. Going to be fighting the beast, Kayla Harrison, soon. So super excited about it. And when I was thinking about this, just thinking about Amanda Nunez, a funny memory came in. I mean, it was the first time I ever remember seeing Amanda Nunez fight, and it was 2016. She was fighting Ronda Rousey. I was sitting on the couch with my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, and her parents. We were watching probably an illegal stream. I'm whispering that FBI don't get me. And I remember seeing Ronda Rousey come out like angry eyebrows. I thought she was gonna take her down, put her in an arm bar, and then Nunez beats the brakes off of her, make her look like she shouldn't even be there. So I'm gonna say Amanda Nunez is one of my four Mount Rushmore fighters.
You know what's interesting about this? I totally agree, but I did not put a female fighter up on Mount Rushmore, given that it is
Perfectly fine, dude.
it's reserved for four guys. But as I said, if having known about sneaking that in there, I would agree. And what is funny about that? The first time I remember watching Amanda Nunes fight was also beating the brakes off Ronda Rousey in 2016.
Awesome. We're watching at the same time.
We're watching at the same time. I was in Bali on holiday at the time. We're at some Balinese bar watching it in the middle of the day. And I do believe, mistake me if I'm wrong, I do believe that was also the same event where Cody Garbrandt actually, beat the brakes off Dominic Cruz as well for his title fight. So that was an awesome event, and I hope, one definitely a memorable one to watch. But yeah, shout out to you.
He fought maybe Michael Johnson on that card. I feel like Khabib might have been on that as well. A historian would know that, but I am not. But I want to say maybe Khabib was on that too.
Yeah, we should definitely have. I'll have to check that out afterwards, but I'm rather certain that it was the same event, because I remember it was such a memorable event. Not only was I was watching on holidays, but the Amanda Nunes performance and the Cody Garbrandt performance were just out of this world on that card. But as I said, I've gone a little bit different. I did this in terms of who I think like the founding fathers of MMA as a whole sort of were, and based off achievements. Especially within the UFC. So that's the way I've looked at it. More so than popular. Not, as I said, I did think about going popularity, because that is a massive aspect in terms of building MMA and UFC as a whole. So one of my answers did change last minute, but I'm going to start with the first guy, and I think the most obvious answer. We'll see if you have him later on the list, but it has to be Royce Gracie. Given that the first 5 UFC events, he won 3 of them. The 5th one, UFC 5, was a draw with Ken Shamrock in their rematch. And UFC 3 was another one that he actually won his first fight, and then he withdrew. So he could have almost, we could have been looking at the first 5 UFC events. He won 4 of them, and then had the draw. But as I said, as it stands, he won 3 UFC's, 1, 2, and 4, and then 5 was a draw. And as I said, the 3rd one he withdrew from competition halfway through. But I think, not too much explaining to do here in terms of Royce Gracie, who he is, not only for UFC in terms of the historicness of those first ever events and his achievements, but also to just the Gracie name in terms of jiu-jitsu and what that has done in evolving MMA as well as a sport. I think those things will be remembered for generations and generations when historians are looking back on UFC, and I think he should be, if not the first one, up on that mountain.
I love it, dude. I can't. I mean, I completely understand why you would want the first UFC. He's probably the most influential fighter. Maybe you could say Connor or like Rousey pushing women's MMA, but like Hoist has to be up there as one of the most influential fighters ever. So I completely understand, and it's a great pick. But I did not have him on my list. And when I was thinking of Mount Rushmore, I was thinking more of like both GOAT in the actual sport and what they've achieved, and also like GOAT as far as collecting. So my next person was, and again, favorite for me because he's kind of a guy that got me into the sport. It was the fighter Anderson Silva, and a couple of these guys, if you have it too, a couple of these guys could be interchangeable in this list. There's really no order here, but there's nothing better in mixed martial arts than like a nice knockout, dude, and a crazy technique. And Anderson Silva did both of those all the time, and he made it look easy, buttery smooth. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He was in control, and it was really a thing of beauty to watch. He has a ton of insane accolades. I'm not even going to mention all those, but there's something about the time when I came into really enjoying MMA and UFC, and he was at the top, dude. He was on UFC Unleashed all the time, constantly showing out all of his great fights, all of his knockouts. So there's like a special place in my heart for Anderson Silva, and not only all the accolades, but also the nostalgia. So I think he definitely deserves to be, at the top of the heap when it comes to a Mount Rushmore type UFC card guy, and as well just a guy in the sport.
Well, this might shock you, Zach, but I actually 100% agree with you on this. And I had Anderson Silva up there on the mountain as well. As you said, given the records that he holds, and not only he has a lot of records, we're talking about, defended middleweight belt 10 times, which is the third highest, I think, but it's the most at middleweight. However, he's only behind DJ and then John Jones. We all know how I feel about John Jones. I feel like you could strip John Jones of a few of those, titles, and that way he would not be up there at the top. So you would have, Anderson Silva number 2, but also most amount of knockouts in title matches.
That's a huge one, man. Huge
most amount of knockdowns as well. Like, and when you're talking about striking as a whole and how exciting that is for, it's everyone's favorite in terms of watching MMA is the striking exchanges, and no one was better at that. As you said, the nostalgia of when I was watching UFC for the first time, it was Anderson Silva, and he was just up there dancing like Muhammad Ali, and even more so too, just making people look absolutely silly. And he did that each and every single event. For all the same reasons, I have Anderson Silva up there. I think he is one of those generational stars that is going to be hard to beat. And even when we're talking about these records in terms of title defenses, title matches, I think that's something that's going to sort of die out a little bit. As the sport continues to evolve and get better and better, it's harder for these athletes, these fighters, to stay at top. So I think the fighters now, as we said, people like Anderson Silva, people like Demetrius Johnson, even another guy I'm going to talk about in a minute, and even John Jones, like those records that are held now, I think they're going to be very, very tough to beat as the years go on, because the fighters just keep getting better and better, and it's sort of harder and harder for these fighters now to get the title defenses in. So definitely have Anderson Silva up there as well.
Nice. This next guy, a lot of people I think would consider him the greatest of all time, and for good reason. He's a 2-weight class champ, ton of wins, beat a ton of Hall of Famers, really good athlete too. He was really well-rounded, and that's one thing that I like most about this guy, George St. Pierre, is that you probably could have taken him from that era of fighting, teleported him into 10 years in the future, and he still would have looked like he belonged there. That's how like advanced and how well-rounded his skill set was for the time. I also really like that he's just like a Canadian icon in the nationality and in the the country pride that he had for that. I think that's really interesting. And when we talk about like collecting, there's a ton of Canadian collectors, dude, and GSP is always their favorite guy. So I think, when it comes to like collecting goats, he's kind of a good mix of like a fan favorite. People love to collect him. They love to buy his cards, as well as he just has an insane resume, insane accolades. And he also seems like a cool guy, good temperament, intellectual guy, seemed very measured with his words. He seemed very positive too, which I think is kind of cool for such a like not archaic, but like barbaric sport. He seemed kind of like a nerdy guy and a thinker, which was a good change of pace. But yeah, man, he's still a true martial artist, getting after it. Even in his older age now, he's got to be close to 50 or high 40s. But I think GSP is pretty awesome and is a UFC card Rushmore guy as well as a GOAT in the sport.
Yep. Once again, Zach, we're overlapping. I mean, I don't think there would be too many people who don't know too much about the sport who wouldn't have GSP up there for all the reasons that you talked about, records, and as you said, just the advanced fight style that he had. As you said, it would translate. As you said, there's not a lot of fighters that you could take from his era, even though it's only 10, 15 years ago, that you could sort of translate into the sport now. But I think GSP definitely is one of those guys. And as you said, what I like most about him is not only his achievements, his accolades, but as you said, just if you break him down as a human being, and that for me is very important in terms of how I look at fighters personally and how I believe fighters are collectible. So I think you would have GSP up there for sure, as you said. Add to the stats, most ever, win streak in terms of rounds. I think it was 33 rounds he had as a win streak there. So unbeaten in 33 rounds, which is pretty insane. Has the longest title reign, 2,204 days or something like that. So yeah, a lot of accolades on his wall, and as you said, as well as the importance of just who he is as a human being, and as you said, positive person, and has a good message for the sport, which I think is very much needed. So another crossover, Zach. That's 2 from 2. Sorry, that's 2 from 3 at the moment, and I probably would have had Amanda Nunes up there as well if we had been including females. So who we got last up on this Mount Rushmore?
This is not going to be a shock to anyone. If they've watched my channel, if they've watched us together on your channel, they know Jon Jones is my #1 fighter of all time. He is my GOAT, dude. And when he beats Tom Aspinall in the White House fight,
we're going to get to that
even more. That's a teaser for later. But yeah, insane accolades, dude. But one thing you mentioned, like GSP being able to survive, 10, 15 years ago into modern day. Jon Jones is still fighting basically modern day. I mean, the longevity with this guy is something we will never see again. We will never see this type of run again. And to me, it's sad. I understand why so many people dislike him, right? But to me, it's also sad that while you should be able to dislike someone, you should also appreciate what they do, because we will never see a fighter like this again. And I say that with great confidence, because as you alluded to earlier, the sport is so hard now. Everyone is so good now. We will never see a person who will dominate this long like Jon Jones did. And I had a funny thought that I hadn't thought of before when thinking of this segment. And it was, he fought Stephan Bonnar 4 years after Stephan Bonnar fought Forrest Griffin. That's how long Jon Jones has been the dude. It's insane, dude. Almost 20 years. Yeah, Jon Jones should be on the Mount Rushmore, whether you like him or not.
Yep. I expected that, and as I said, that's fair play to you. I myself, I've gone a different fighter again. I'm not sure how many people would have this man.
Ooh, I like it.
On this Mount Rushmore of UFC, but I believe he should be up there. And even so, I learned a couple of new things about him in doing research for this, and I was very happy to learn even a little bit more. But that guy is Randy the Natural Couture.
Oh, I love it.
An overall record, not that great. It doesn't look that great on paper. 19-11 was his overall MMA record. But I want to start off first. He is a true American, a military man. He was an airborne sergeant, Zach, in the 101st Division before his MMA career. 6-time UFC champion, Zach. We are talking, that is the record for amount of championship, I guess, wins. Not wins, but, amount of losing the title and getting it back. 3 times at heavyweight, 2 times at light heavyweight. And he was an interim champion as well at light heavyweight. So we're going to include that one in there. He was the first UFC fighter to win 2 belts in 2 divisions, obviously at light heavyweight and then heavyweight. He competed in 16 title fights, Zach. 16.
That's awesome.
He won and competed in the only ever UFC Hall of Famer fight versus Hall of Famer, beating Mark Coleman when they fought. Both of them had already entered the UFC Hall of Fame, and then the UFC made this like UFC Hall of Fame super fight, which I think is a very cool,
that is.
Badge to have on your UFC jacket. He's the oldest UFC champion, winning the belt at age 43.
I like that.
And he also has the Extreme Couture gym, which he started in the late 2000s as well, which I think if you look at that gym, the fighters that have walked in and out, including ex-champions, I think that gym and his legacy will live on as well, which I think adds to the collectability. But I think, as I said, if you think about true Americans and true pioneers of the sport, as well as the amount of records and stats that this guy has, which, as we talked about, are going to be very difficult to beat as the sport evolves. I think these are the points that stick out to me that I think would have Randy Couture up there as well. Let us all know in the comments what you all think. We'll head over to the comments to see if anyone has jumped in, which Buzz has. Objecto Collecto. He has Hiuse, Silver, GSP, and Jones.
That's pretty close to both of us.
So pretty close to both of us. Crossover there. I've got 3 of those with only missing Jones, and you had Nunes as well as Hiuse. So MDS tuning in. Randy doesn't get the love he deserves because of the contract situation, him trying to get the Fedor fight. Yeah, so there was obviously issues between Randy and Dana, and when that stuff happens, just ask Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You get pretty much erased, which is it's almost on the point of, it's not only sad, it's kind of a bit pathetic at this point that Dana tries so hard to throw shade on fighters, but acting like he doesn't care at the same time. But he can do what he does. But yes, we want to thank those questions. As I said, Blake, we will get the second part of your question in on the collab that will be coming up very, very soon. We have that UFC pay-per-view 318 event rolling up. But if you also have some questions, you're watching this back, leave your questions in the comments below right now, and we will get to them either on this upcoming collab with Zach on his channel, or it will be on another upcoming collab, or even the live that we get on Zach's channel after the collab as well. So we want to be answering as many questions as you guys can send. All right, Zach. Now, what I do want to talk about, as we are, we're getting close to an hour at the moment, but I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. Donald Trump, since our previous collab, has come out and said we're going to have a UFC fight on the White House grounds. Now, not only is this sort of insane, but not really surprising given the relationship between Dana and Donald Trump. I mean, he's basically at every single UFC pay-per-view event. He's cage side, sitting right next to Dana, in fact. So it's no surprise that they have a very, very close relationship. They're probably involved in a lot of business deals together. And actually, something that I wanted to mention before that I think a lot of people have skipped over, Khamzat Chimaev will be fighting Dricus du Plessis next month. And that fight is actually in the States. I don't know if a lot of people have forgotten about this, but Khamzat Chimaev, at least under the Biden administration, was basically not allowed. Khamzat Chimaev was reserved for those big oil cards that we've had over in.
What was the reasoning for him not being allowed in the country?
I think it was to do with his ties with the with those crazy Russian Chechen
Okay.
warlord type things, with the close ties relationships that he has with those. But he was certainly sort of seemed to be banned from fighting, and I think it was like a visa issue, obviously. But the powers that be, he is now back in the States, which I believe is a big push for Hamza. That opens up his schedule a lot more, which I think is something that's a little bit overlooked at the moment that maybe people forgot about. But not over here at Main Event Cards. I picked that one up, and I thought that was an interesting little note. But we are talking about this, and I want to put it out to not only the people in the comments below, but I want to put it out to you right now, Zach, with the news of this UFC event, 250 to celebrate the 250th year of your country, which is what is that next year? Is it, or when's the 250th birthday of America?
76. So yeah, 2026.
Yep. Right. So that's we're talking 2026. Not sure when 2026, but what do we think? This event's clearly going to happen. As I said, I don't think it's not going to not happen now. Who knows? Maybe. I think it's going to happen. I can see it definitely happening. But what do we think? Who's going to headline this card as we go over to some of these betting odds that are out at the moment? We have Dustin Poirier, the 250 favorite. We have Max Holloway, 300. Sean O'Malley got in there, which I don't sort of understand why he's got such a high favorite at plus 400. Justin Gaethje, plus 450. Sean Brady, plus 550. Sean Strickland, plus 600. John Jones at plus 800.
Why is Aspinall plus 1,400?
I don't know.
That's a good bet.
But sell your house, put your money on Tom Aspinall. These aren't updated, mind you. These are, I think, about a week old now, so maybe that's changed. But what do we think, Zach? Who is going to headline, or who do we think main events? We'll speculate first the main event, and then maybe rattle off. We'll give 2 or 3 other fighters who you think we definitely see on the main card.
Yeah,
for this White House event. Who do we see main eventing?
There's 2 people who talk a lot, and then things sometimes don't happen, and Dana White and Trump both fit that. As far as having a UFC event on the grounds of the United States government, I don't want them worried about entertainment. I want them trying to fix the problems of our country. But with that being said, this is amazing for the UFC.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is exactly what we want as fans. And I will love it, and I will watch it. And you don't have to worry about any of the issues that come with that. But it is going to be absolutely amazing. I hope it happens. It's really silly. It's really fun. And it is kind of what's been missing with the UFC. We had the Apex come in. It's super sterile. We just need more fun, more silliness, more goofiness. This is exactly that. So I think it would be really awesome if it happens. When thinking about who is going to be on this card, obviously, dude, it's going to be John Jones, Tom Aspinall. We had John Jones come out and say, "This is what I need. I'm ready to fight him." Now, could he just be, saying stuff? Of course he could. But I love that he is keeping this alive. He's back in the testing pool, and we're going to see John Jones, Aspinall in 2026, just like I predicted, dude. It's going to happen.
All right, so that's your main event. It's John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. It finally happens at the White House. That's your main event for this event?
That's the biggest. Yep. You can't get any bigger than that.
Can't get any bigger than that.
What you got?
I got a pretty big one. Whether this one happens, I would probably give more a better money line that John Jones and Aspinall, as much as I don't really think that still happens. How old's John Jones in 2026? 52 at that point.
He's like wine.
Dude, this is what I think should be the fight for that card is Nate Diaz comes back and we have the trilogy, man. We have the trilogy with Conor. I think Conor wants to get on that card for sure. As you said, we're talking about people that talk a lot. We're talking about Dana White. We're talking about John Jones, Donald Trump, and also we're going to chuck in Conor in there. Conor is a crazy man, but I think he can get it done at the White House grounds. I did hear rumors before don't source me on this because I don't remember, but it was true. I didn't dream it. That they were talking about an event at Alcatraz, which also would be really awesome. I would actually put an event at Alcatraz over the White House. I think that would be way cooler. Don't know where they would fit it. I've been to Alcatraz. There's not a lot of room for an octagon over there, but I'm sure they could make it happen. And they were talking about Diaz versus Conor on that one. But I think if they could get Conor versus Diaz, I think it makes sense for both of those guys. Both sort of, Conor's not officially retired, but Diaz is. But I think he still has 2 fights on his contract left, so he could easily come back as many athletes do. Conor has 2 fights on his contract. I think that's the only fight to make for those 2 guys, and then they could officially retire after that. I would have that as my main event, not for a belt.
Just the people's main event,
but just the people's main event at the People's Palace, which is the White House. What do you think? Who else do you think we see if we're talking about other potential? As I said, whether you want to include them in title fights or not, but what do you think we have in terms of maybe some other big UFC names who could main event, not main event, but also be on the main card of this event?
So this guy is going to start the main card, right? And it's going to be Colby Covington. Has to be on this card. He's going to lick whatever boot he needs to get on this card, and Trump probably wants him out there too. So and obviously Dana wants to make Trump happen if this does happen. So he's definitely going to be on this card. And I was like, who are you pairing him up again? And I remember Kevin Holland saying he wanted Colby Covington in the Tough series. And so what I'm doing, Kevin Holland versus Colby Chaos Covington in the next season of Tough. We finished wrapping the season in like a month or 2. I feel like they're getting close to midway of the season. We filmed this, and we immediately have the White House card be where they do also the Tough card. So you have some of the younger guys in Tough, and then you have Colby and Kevin Holland on the main card. It's going to be sick, dude. Put it in the book.
I like that. Colby wasn't someone who jumped to my mind, but when you've sold it to me already, just even saying his name, I can imagine the walkout of him. I'd like. I mean, him versus Kevin Holland. That's a great fight as well. I wouldn't say no to that. If I could pick maybe another, I'd like to see Dustin. I mean, not obviously don't know. Dustin's meant to be retiring after this BMF fight, but whether he does or not is another thing. I think any fighter who got offered a fight at the White House probably would take it. I think the backstory of Colby and Dustin, especially, if Dustin's holding a BMF belt at that point too, not that I think Colby should be in the talks for a title fight, but I just think the antics behind that would make it absolutely crazy, and I think that would be a fun one. I myself, selfishly, I think Kamaru Usman deserves a spot. Obviously the Nigerian Nightmare, who does represent Nigeria as well, but he obviously is probably a proud American as well, I would imagine. I'd like to see him, and I want to see him in a rematch against that man I was just talking about before. Obviously, if Hamzat is wearing a belt on his shoulder or around the waist or not, I think him versus Kamaru would be a really, really fun matchup that a lot of people would enjoy for sure, including myself.
You got Kamaru going up to 185, huh?
Yeah,
that's gonna be tough for him, man.
I think he does it. I think he can do it.
With 5 rounds, though, I mean, he might have won that fight at 170 against Hamzat, so I'm not counting him out.
What do you think? Do we want to put Ilya versus Paddy on that card, or is that not American enough?
Yeah, that's a great fight. I love it. I love it for the UFC. It's not at the White House.
I think thinking of the UFC, I thought about this too. They could go one or two ways with this, which they would go just like every fight on the main card is just like main event fights. But also knowing the UFC too, they know, which are all about sales. People are going to buy this card regardless. So of course they're going to put two or three maybe like massive fights on there, but they're not going to stack it. I think they would obviously want to save some big fights for the next upcoming pay-per-views or the pay-per-views leading into that. So you would think that, maybe Ilya and Paddy, as much as that's a massive fight for the UFC, they could put that on a different card for sure. But I think you would have to have Justin Gaethje in there as well.
Oh, that's a good one. Yep.
Maybe a Justin Gaethje Dan Hooker fight or something
Oh
like that
man, that's blood right there.
would be crazy. So definitely fun one to think about. As I said, let us know in the comments below as well who we all think could be headlining those cards. Buzz has got in there again. Then, of course, there is an executive Mount Rushmore: Dana White, Joe Rogan, Bruce Buffer, and Big John McCarthy. That's a fun one. I didn't think of like the behind the scenes guys for the Mount Rushmore, but I think you would have to probably have those four up on there as well. MDS. I might need a Topps now Donald Trump card.
They'd probably make one. If
Make some
that
relics.
venue happens, they're going to make one for sure.
What about a Make America Great Again relic card or something like that, worn by Donald Trump? I'd buy that.
Oh my gosh,
that'd be fire.
It'd probably sell for really high. Somebody would buy that for a lot. I guarantee it.
All right, Zach. We'll head over now to pay-per-view buys recap. So UFC 317. I don't have a graphic for my card because there's not too much to say. I had the 2019 Renato Moicano relic gold canvas relic. That one did not sell. It had, I think, 6 views, 2 saves. But you, Zach, you had this card. The man who
get that thing off the screen, dude.
With you could say this is 2 different things. I still stick with it as an aeroplane. I know you've got a dirtier mind than me, Zach. Still stuck in your college days. But how do we go? Did this card sell? Did it not sell?
It had 1 view and 1 washer, so you can guess it did not sell, dude. And thank you to the guy who actually clicked on this and clicked watch. You are the man. I thought it wasn't going to sell, but when I saw 1 view, I was like, this is terrible. But I was like, oh, 1 watcher. Okay, it's a little more tolerable. He did get the dub, but I mean, he didn't look great. He almost got finished there at the beginning of the fight. Maybe this will sell. Honestly, I might end up just like giving this away to somebody in the back crew or something like that, or a holiday giveaway, because I don't know if this card's ever going to sell.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, man. BSD, you need to be with something with that auto. I mean, we need to reach out. 1 punch cards. Josh Emmett needs to, pull him in the backstage there and just have a bit of a word with him, because that auto is not helping that card at all. Although I'm sure there's probably some people who find it funny, so maybe it's even more collectible. Yeah. But Zach, as we finish off here, we've gone into overtime. We skipped over this last time because we ran out of time, but there is one more thing. We can quickly talk about it. We don't need to be too winded about it. But this awesome graphic, which was made by the man below me here, Zach, talking about this card. Obviously, record-setting sale for UFC Card Hobby with the Black Prism 101 PSA 9 for Ilia Topuria 2022 Prism. Dude, this is a nice card. And then there's now speculation going around the Black Shimmer, the first off the line, Black 1 of 1, what that card could be worth, given it was, first off the line, as opposed to this just being the regular, or which, we're getting a bit silly here. But, first off, what do you think? I put the question to you. Should the Black Shimmer be worth more than the true Black Prism?
You don't even have to finish the question. No, the true Black Prism should be worth the most.
I agree.
It would just, period. I don't see really any reasoning why the Black Shimmer should be worth more. Grading is pointless when you're talking about 1 of 1s, and when you're talking about 1 of 1s that have more than 1. And Damien, we've been talking about this forever. The 1 of 1s, there's multiple 1 of 1s, and like now it really matters that they have 3, sometimes 4 in 2023. Like, it starts to really matter when you're talking about these numbers. But I can't see any strong logical reasoning why this card, the true rookie, shouldn't be the highest card that Ilia Topuria has.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. I think this actually of the two, much nicer looking card. And this is the one that I wouldn't own for sure. So I 100% agree. But we'll see what happens with whether that goes to auction or it's up on eBay, or I haven't been keeping up too much with it. But
what price should that shimmer go for? Because that's another question I had.
So it is graded with PSA.
PSA 10.
PSA 10, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't agree, but obviously that will carry a premium. As much as I think you agree with me, as you said, I think the grade is quite pointless in terms of being a 101. Obviously, you just want it to be authenticated. I know there would be a lot of people who probably would argue and say, "Oh, well, that card's gem mint. There's nothing wrong with it." Obviously, there's one little defect with this PSA 9. PSA 9s and 10s. Even I've had PSA 10s, man, that I thought was a PSA 8 because they had scratches on the surface. So
same thing, dude.
That doesn't guarantee anything about the actual condition, but there will be people who will argue that to their last breath. So to be fair, I think the PSA 10 does play a factor. People will get excited that it's first off the line. I know that's why they're arguing. And I mean, if I own that card, you would probably be arguing the same thing, to be honest, because you want as much for the card as what you can get.
I'm a man of principle, though, so I doubt it, dude.
No,
okay. But I like 50,000 also, so maybe I would.
Yeah. So if to put a price on it, I think the black shimmer, I think it's been a PSA 10. I personally don't think it's worth as much as this one. I agree. So I'm not going to put it higher than 100,000, but I think it's got to be close. Given that, as I said, I will allow for a PSA 10 pump up there. I think it's going to be probably more like 85, maybe 90.
Ooh,
dude, I think it's up there. I do
I
think it's up
right.
there.
Yeah, I was like, if I was selling it, what would I accept? Because I think that makes it a little bit more easier to really think about in our mind. If I had the black shimmer 101 PSA 10 and I'm on eBay, somebody puts a bid in, they send me it. I feel like if I saw $65,000, I would take it. And I mean, that's just me thinking about it.
I would take $20,000 for that card, but that's not really that's beyond the point. What do we think this card actually like sells for? What do we think other people value this card at? Is what is the better thing?
I feel like close to 70,000.
Okay.
I do think whenever you're talking about this type of money, I think that the buyer, there's so few buyers that can even afford this, that unless the same person buys the black shimmer, I can't see it going for, 90,000. But could be wrong, because I didn't think the card would hit 100 plus 100K either. So never know.
No. All right. And then lastly, too, as I said, you don't have to go explaining why. I don't know how many notes you've written down. Obviously, we probably thought we are going to have a little bit more time for this, but I do want to touch on this, given that we were meant to talk about it last time. Given this sale, what do we think 2025 standing? Who are the three fighters that you want to rattle off right now that you believe should be the highest selling fighters within UFC for 2025 as we stand? Active fighters I'm talking about. I should clarify, it's active fighters. I don't want to be throwing too many legends in there, but I want to be talking about who are the highest, do you believe deserve to be and should be the highest selling active fighters in 2025 for UFC?
So the question is, who do I think in 2025 will have the three highest card sales?
No, who should be?
Who should be?
Not okay, who, so not who has or not who are currently, but who you can. If there's someone who you think is incredibly undervalued right now, put their name in the hat. But yeah, the top three. Who should be the highest selling?
Was one. Ilya Topuria, and this was before his win. I would have said that as well.
I agree.
Tom Aspinall. I still think he should be one of the highest, and I think he's really slept on, dude. And I don't have the funds for it, but if I did have a little bit more card budget right now, I think I would be trying to get a big Tom rookie or a big Tom first auto, because I do think he's so skilled, he's so young, he's in a division that is not very deep. If he gets the John Jones fight, he's astronomical. Even if he doesn't get the John Jones fight, he's still going to be a stud and a huge name. And then 3, Islam Makhachev. If he beats JDM, I'm moving Khabib out of my top 5, and Islam is in my top 5. But yeah, those are my 3. Who you got?
Yeah, I agree. We're two or three in that one. I agree. I had Ilya, as I said. We were meant to talk about this a month ago. I already had Ilya down there. Islam as well. Obviously, no points need to be added to that in terms of where Islam is his career. He's going up to welterweight now, which is even more exciting, even more legacy to be built. And his prices should already be higher than what they are. And then I agree with the Tom Aspinall one. I think that's a very good pick. I would have Tom Aspinall at a close 3, even not a number 4. But I've pushed him before, and I'm putting Hamzat in there, man. I think Hamzat, this big fight coming up in July, I think he has the opportunity to finally get that belt that everyone speculated on. As I said, I think you need to add in the fact he has not been very active, but I think if we can keep Donald Trump in office, I think we can get the UFC are going to want to milk Hamzat for all he's worth while he's at the top. And I think we see a very, very busy, not very busy, but I think we see a much busier Hamzat. And I think that even brings more hype to him when he can start potentially racking up some title defenses. And I know he is top 5, top 3 selling athletes for UFC as it is. But I also think where he's at with his career, where it could be heading, and what's happening next month, I think he should be top 3 at the moment for sure. But let us know in the comments as well, people, what you think. We will check out the comments before we sign off. Objecto adding UFC. I think he might be adding into the MDS comment before. Mugshot subset would be a big set. Yeah.
We got John, we got Connor, I don't think Dana got arrested for that slap of his wife, but he could have. And we got Trump, dude. So they're all in there.
Yeah, man, they're all in there for sure. Harvey and Nax ripped the 1/10 gold of the Taporia rookie card. So Buzz let me know
crazy
about
Roman. I wonder what he's going to do with that. I should ask him. That'd be an interesting question.
We need to and shout out to Roman as well. He's got a YouTube channel that we need to start plugging a little bit more so he can get some action going there. Magenta Placenta. Hey guys, thanks for the trade, Zach. That one was from John. So thank you for stopping by quickly, Magenta. As I said, guys, we're going to finish this up here in around a minute, but I do apologize. This was a shit show from the start for this one.
Sorry, me too. I had some browser settings issues that took me forever to troubleshoot, but we did finally figure it out. And Damien, the USB 3.2, the camera did not stutter one time. So we're fixing problems as we go.
Yeah, so we had the camera issue last time, which we got fixed, but then we didn't get the fixed settings.
It took a while
with browser, and then, as I said, I scheduled this live on a computer that was scheduled in the wrong time zone. So I think we've top scored with about 4 people viewing on this one, which is a record low.
Fights are going on right now, so that's probably a huge reason why.
Yeah, you're right, but we apologize about this one. Obviously, we are still learning as we go on, and at least these issues will be corrected for last time. Yeah, great topics. We will obviously, people can watch this back. And that's the other thing too. These are a little bit harder to find with the lives. You've got to click over the live tab, but I'll try and give us a bit of a plug on the Instagram. We appreciate those of you who have came and commented and hung out with us. Obviously, we got a few people in there. That's all that matters. We weren't just talking to ourselves, although we would have done that anyway, Zach.
We do all the time.
Shout out to Objector. Shout out to Buzz. Shout out to Sugar Sharp. Shout out to Michael all the way over there in Sweden. We appreciate you tuning in late at night. MDS and also John Magenta Placenta. We appreciate you guys for coming by and commenting on this video. Stay tuned. Zach's content is linked in the description below. We will have the collab coming up before the next pay-per-view event, so stay tuned for that one. We appreciate you coming by. Another live will be coming after that one as well. We can continue with this. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Enjoy the fights. We'll see you again here next time.
See you guys.